Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? Awesome, awesome. Thanks so much for joining, everybody. Super excited to do this with you all. I know it's been a while for those of you who have been with Springboard for a while. It's been quite a gap between our most recent Open Huddle and this one. There's been a lot. Despite that, there has been a lot going on behind the scenes, and so we're excited to kind of walk you through some of those things that we have been working on. This is probably, these next 3 to 6 months, probably the most exciting times for Springboard VR and the features that we're going to release that I think you guys are just going to love. So, going to just give you a sneak peek on what's to come, but there will be 2 more Open Huddles at least here in this first quarter. So we're planning on, well, at least close enough to the first quarter. So the next one will be March 6th. There's a register for next Open Huddle. You can go ahead and do that now and reserve your spot. Make sure you're notified and all that. Where we'll be diving more into what's coming and show you how to get set up with certain features and whatnot. And then also, as we go, if you have questions about anything, whether it be a topic in the Open Huddle or not, there's a button at the bottom of your screen called Ask a Question. Go ahead and click that, and you can type in your question. And then once we get to the Q&A at the very end, we'll filter through that list. You can upvote questions if you think you want that question answered, and we'll just go down the list and answer your questions. So anyway, my name is Jordan Williams. I'm one of the co-founders of Springboard VR. And let's go ahead and just dive straight into this thing. So the quick agenda for this is pretty brief. Just 3 bullets here, but there's a lot of meat in each one of these things. And we're going to invite the CEO of Blueprint Reality to talk about the Mixcast integration. Super excited to tell you guys about this. It's if you haven't really seen what mixed reality is or know what it is, we're going to show you. And no hype at all. I believe mixed reality is the key to truly like transforming the customer experience and making it so that your customers, whether they're walking by or if it's a mom watching a son, for them to truly understand what it is. And not only that, but the ability for them to also share it to social media. As you guys know, virtual reality really has a presentation problem, and mixed reality solves those problems. And so the team at Blueprint have done an insane amount of work to bringing mixed reality solutions into arcades as easy as possible. And so they're going to dive into that. But before we get there, and before I introduce Tarni, I'm going to talk about this new big release. So it's a licensing update, and basically what it is it will be Springboard's way of your content acquisition and licensing process will now be totally removed from Steam. And that's kind of what it is in a nutshell. And there's a lot involved there for what exactly that means. But starting in March-ish, middle of March is kind of our target. You will no longer have any need to use Steam at all at your arcade. You should be able to download content directly from Springboard servers. Obviously, this means you're not having to create Steam accounts for every single PC. So if you're upgrading, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You can one-click install content to all of your devices from one computer. So with this also comes a lot more pricing options. So we have monthly, regional, and then floating licenses. And so what floating licenses is so let's say you have a 10-station arcade, and I'll just use Arizona Sunshine as an example. Everybody loves Arizona Sunshine. You can buy 5 flat monthly licenses of Arizona Sunshine, and what will happen is even though you have 10 stations, it can be used across all 10 stations. The only time, so let's say you have 6 people who want to play Arizona Sunshine at the exact same time. Well, what's going to happen is that once that 6th station activates Arizona Sunshine, it'll turn on. They'll still be able to play it, but it'll be incurred on a pay per minute rate. Okay, so those 5 you can lock in at that flat monthly, and then if any extra do want to go ahead and play Arizona Sunshine, it won't stop them. It'll just start billing them on that pay per minute rate. The service gives you a ton of flexibility for how you manage your commercial licensing, and just so many different pricing options for you to choose from, and especially those folks who live in certain countries where price parity makes a big difference. Regional pricing is going to be great for you all as well. So, and so a few other things. So advanced notice with EULA. So I don't know if you guys you've probably seen it. Customer tries to load a game. They're just getting spit back into the Springboard launcher environment. They don't know what's going on. It's a bad customer experience. Well, really, all you have to do is go in and accept the new EULA that is updated on Steam. So we're going to be handling this way, way, way better. So your customer experience should never be interrupted anymore. You'll get advanced notices if a content creator does upload a new EULA, and you'll have plenty of time to accept that. If in the case you don't accept it, that content will just not be available to play at your arcade. So it won't interrupt the customer experience anymore, and just much better way to manage that. So yeah, the big one, obviously, no more Steam keys, no more Steam accounts. You'll still be able to sideload content from Steam. You know, I have this asterisk saying most, and it's 99.99%. We don't have to get into the most bit right now. It's nothing to worry about. Easier way to add content to all stations at once. Kind of already went through that. You'll be able to just click a button and say, Arizona Sunshine, go download to all 15 stations at once, whatever it is. And then something that this really enables us to do, it's this first phase of bringing in this universal joining and hosting of multiplayer content. So we hear from you all that's one of the biggest challenges in operating the arcade, is if your customers want to get into a multiplayer match, whether that be local at your arcade or opening it up to other players around the world, that process is just really difficult, and it's different from game to game. So even if they know how to do it in Arizona Sunshine, they may not know how to do it in whatever else. I don't know. So what we're going to be building is a way that if a customer can get in to a multiplayer game for one game, they can do it for any of the games. And so it's also ability for them to host. So like, hey, buddy in Station 2, I'm hosting a game. You should join it, and they get notifications, all this. So it's a massive, massive win for just getting your customers into multiplayer. We know that that's what drives repeat business for the most part, is multiplayer. So there's a ton of work that goes into making this happen, okay? Just so you know. But we've been planning, and this also does require buy-in from the content creators as well. Thankfully, we've established really good relationships with all the top guys. Our content team is having conversations every day with multiple content creators to make sure that they understand our journey and what we're doing, and getting them to buy into the value of what we're doing and why, and we're just so confident that this is going to happen. So excited to release that to you all this summer. Okay, that's really it for our licensing update. Next Open Huddle, March 6th. Again, you can register it for now if you want to. Go ahead and mark that down. But we'll be diving in more. What does it look like? How do I get onboarded? Showing you kind of different designs of what to expect and all of that. And so we'll be showing you and really walking you through the entire process, what the transition is going to look like. It's really not going to be that bad, I promise. But March 6th is when we'll take a deep dive into what that transition is going to look like. Okay? And again, if you have questions, go ahead and start asking them in the Ask a Question thing on the bottom of your screen there. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you what I'm actually maybe more excited about than our content distribution, which is our Mixcast integration. So we've been doing a ton of work, been talking with the Blueprint team for over a year now, trying to figure out a way to work together, and we're finally at the point where the technology is there that we can do it. So before I go ahead and introduce Tarny and bring him on, I'm going to show you just a quick video demo of kind of what their technology is all about. Okay, so here we go. So you can imagine just the benefits that this is going to bring to your customers. But I won't steal Tarney's thunder. I'm going to go ahead and invite him on screen right now. All right, invite sent. So Tarney is the CEO of Blueprint Reality. He's and so anyway, Tarney, I will hand it to you.
Thank you very much, Jordan, and thanks for having us on your Open Huddle. Hopefully you guys got a chance to understand a little bit about what that video showed. It was a bit choppy on my end, so it's quite possible everyone else had that too. But let me walk you through, some slides that talk about what we're doing and what it can mean to you guys. So just let me get the screen share part of the world here and go from there. So hopefully you should now be able to see what we're talking about. And essentially we, as a company have built what we call our MixedCast VR marketing system. And part of that's VR photo booth. Core idea is that we think mixed reality is important. And so, why? Well, experiences are the new luxury. These days, 72% of millennials place a higher value on experience as a material item. And social is the most powerful media in the world. And of course, posting pictures of what you've bought is kind of gauche, where posting pictures of something you're doing is just love. People love seeing what others are up to and doing. And so that really makes unique experiences a new luxury. And as you guys all know, you're operating facilities that have amazing experiences. VR experiences are incredibly unique. But of course, poor marketing is a disaster for any business. And as Mark Cuban says, no sales, no company. And this is kind of what we get to share right now from VR. And, it's just not shareable. And really, this isn't very shareable either. And what we need to do is share this type of imagery, imagery of people in the world that they're in. Essentially, mixed reality provides a window into the virtual world. It's like having a camera or a window into your dreams. You get to show people what's really going on. And that's what mixed reality does. It makes VR social. And so that's why we built the MixedCast VR marketing system and why we're, doing a partnership with Springboard, announcing that today. And so the idea really is that when you put the system in, it lets your customers create, capture, and share mixed reality videos. And so, we're making it social. They can do this without a green screen. They get high quality photos, and then we have a full system to be able to let them distribute those photos and let them share them out. So first of all, it's works in a variety of applications, over 100 things and 100 titles. More will come. In this partnership, I think will help accelerate that. And certainly, goal is to get more and more high profile titles as well. You don't need a green screen. So, all you need to do is purchase a RealSense. We're an Intel partner, and so we've worked with them to be able to create a no green screen background removal, and that's really fabulous. And then what else we do is we've got the whole operational system. So it's a cloud-based system with web-based materials. When you reach out to us, and we'll share the email with you a little bit later, we can get you set up. We give you an account management portal where all the media gets shared. It's got permissions on it for your employees, so you can manage that. We can do a variety of things on the white labeling side. We put your logos in the media, and we also have essentially a touchscreen and web kiosk system. So essentially, if you put a touchscreen in place, patrons can check out their media and then buy it for their distribution. And so if we take a look at what that means, so a customer shows, if we start on the left column, customer shows up at your arcade. They can play some titles and take some video and photo of themselves. They can then walk over to a kiosk and select that, or we have a QR code system. If you don't have a kiosk, they can display a QR code on the screen and they can capture that, which will then let them get access to all the media. And then if we go over to the third column, they can then, we can have different packages. You can give them a photo for free, or we can, sell them all their media for, $10 or $5 or something. We can work on that with you guys. They can then select media if it's specific. They then enter their email and their credit card information. And then what we do is we send them an email, and that email's got your guys' logo in it. It can have a link back to the arcade, so that as that gets shared, it goes places. And then they can also, we send them to a landing page where they can get access to their media. And from there, we have direct social sharing buttons, and they can share that media out. We also have customizable posters. If you guys want to put these up in the arcades, you can let people know that this exists and it's things that they can get. These are essentially files that we can share with you, so you guys can drop in the games that you're particularly licensing if you want. And then some of them are just instructions and reminders of actually being able to go get your virtual selfie, which we found is a pretty good term to be able to describe what it is that mixed reality is, because that mixed reality term doesn't necessarily resonate with somebody off the street. Supports multiple systems, so Vive, Oculus, Windows Mixed Reality. On the developer side, we support both Unity and Unreal Engine. So pretty much, other than the very small percentage of people who built a custom game, we can have a developer install the SDK to support mixed reality. And yeah, so when will this be available? We're working with Springboard right now, just putting the finishing touches on the integration. So it'll be viewable in the launcher, and Springboard will email everybody, SpringboardVR will email everybody as soon as the integration is complete, but we expect it to be done imminently. And then how much does it cost? Well, it's actually free to SpringboardVR operators. So, we're going to take a share of revenue, the Springboard and Blueprint are, for the media distribution service, essentially, that we're offering. You guys have to get your own camera and cables and mount some lights if you need any, if you've got really dark facility. At the end of the day, we are doing photography, and so you need to figure out how to have a camera able to see the person in the space. But it's, we think, a great deal that we're offering up to SpringboardVR operators. And if you're interested, we can, as you contact us, we can show you how you can make some money with this in addition to the marketing side. So how do you get it? Well, you email us at springboardvrarcades@mixcast.me, and send us an email there, and you will be able to get a response from us, and we'll start working through the process with you. Anyway, that's it. I'll be on taking questions for anybody who's got any, and thank you very much. We'll stop screen sharing here. There we go.
Awesome. Why don't you go ahead and type in that email address in the chat? Just so
absolutely.
And then for those who are watching the recording, obviously they can just pause, get that email. One thing I wanted to ask, the hardware setup, is that something that you can show them how to properly get set up there?
Yes, we have. I mean, we've got manuals and instructions. People get into hiccups and hurdles. We certainly are offering, some amount of free support, a couple hours free support if you need to get that. We found, we've got a Zoom video conferencing link that we can, share out, so we can hop on a call and, even use a phone and just show us what's going on, and we can help you walk through that. So yes, we've got installation guides and all of those materials that we can share out with everybody so they can get going.
Good. Yeah, if I was an arcade owner still, which if you don't know the Springboard store, that's how we started out, I just have to implore you guys to try this out. It's free, other than purchasing the camera. Obviously, we have the dark facility, maybe some lights, but there's just no reason not to try this. With the issue that VR has today and just awareness of what the heck it is, mixed reality is the solution. And so really want you guys to check it out and see what you think for yourself. So anyway, that really wraps it up. I'm sure we're going to have some questions, both directed at the Mixedcast team as well as us. So I'm going to dive into those here in just a sec, but just want to give another reminder. March 6th is our next Open Huddle, where we will be taking a deep dive, a detailed walkthrough of what the new content system is going to look like and how that transition is going to work. So go ahead and register for that. But I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the Ask a Question tab. Again, if you have questions, click the Ask a Question, ask your questions. We already have some questions in here. So we'll go ahead and start with that. And the first one is, will Springboard support Arizona Sunshine LBVR or other similar multi-user arena scale games? Dari, it's certainly something that we've thought about doing. It's sort of on the roadmap as a maybe at this point. The summer would be as early. Here's the big issue. People talk about, when is somebody going to create a solution for free roam support? It is a massive challenge because it's a content issue, not a platform issue, because all this content is being created differently. And so the way you enter a game, host, join, bring in all your users is different across every single piece of content. And so until someone takes the time to create something that says this is the standard and this is how you need to build your free roam content, it's really difficult to make it work. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's still something that we're considering doing, but we'll just see. Can we expect soon to have CDN pricing? Yes. This update will have regional-based pricing, including Canadian pricing. And so that will be, again, mid-March is our target date for when this is going to roll out to you guys. Peter, if you can direct your question into the Ask a Question piece, that would be very great. Okay, when will the new licensing be available? Mid-March. Mid-March is our target date. We're onboarding developers the 18th of this month, and we've been doing an insane amount of communication to all of those guys. They all know what's coming and they're prepared, and so mid-March is our target to release this out to you all. Can you share that video? I couldn't see it besides a few choppy shots. Yeah, so I posted it here in the chat. I'll just post it again. Sorry about that quality. Okay, it should be there for you now. Oh, Madison already answered it, sorry. How stable will your server be if it goes now? Will it affect gameplay? There should be no bearing on this. Let me bring in Matt just to maybe give a bit better of an answer. Matt is the CTO of SpringboardVR. We've had a lot of discussion on this. He's going to give a more intelligible answer than I will to that question.
You guys hear me now?
Yes.
So we actually ourselves. We'll be letting the game developers host it however they're already hosting their games. So we actually won't be directly involved in the stability of the games. So most people are using a solution called Photon, which is a completely automated, hosted by a SaaS platform, completely hands-off for the game developer, and content creators. There shouldn't be any issues with anything with game servers and reliability.
Thanks, Matt. Lars and anyone can, if you have questions, go ahead and click the Ask a Question button there at the bottom of your screen and post your question there. That's just to make sure we hit every question. Okay, if you have 2 more locations, can you buy licenses by location, or is it by Springboard account?
It's currently still going to be Springboard accounts. We're looking at possibly changing that in the future, but for the time being, it's going to stay as for the whole Springboard account.
What is the approximate cost of the equipment needed for Mixcast? Tony?
So approximately, those Intel cameras are in the $150 to $175 range. A cable is about $30. So you do not need a capture card. It can work on your PC, and that's pretty much it. You don't need a green screen. You don't need a blue screen. You know, the depth camera will. But that said, it will work with a green screen or a blue screen or anything else. And just like, you'll always get better quality if you're using something like a green or blue screen because they're the professional version. But they're not very convenient for in an awful lot of situations or an awful lot of applications. And so that's why we developed the no green screen technology.
And Tardy, do you want to talk about, I mean, it's projections, we know, but based on, I know you have some data out in the field, like when people should expect, if we're saying ROI on the equipment purchased, how, what are we thinking? How's that kind of working in your head as far as making that money back up? Now, obviously, there's way more benefits than just the money put into the hardware as far as bringing awareness to your arcade. That is invaluable, but wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, as you and I have talked, Jordan, like there's several ways to do this. For us to be able to offer the free version, we need to have some sort of sale process on it. We can, as we get this rolling, if you want to just give them away for free, then we can, figure out a way to charge a flat fee or something like that. So that's an option if you feel like you're not getting traction with customers. We think it's going to be different per market, which is why we can set custom pricing per market with you and figure. We're happy to work with each of you on that to figure that out. And we found a wide range of uptake responses, just depending on how engaged somebody is on the operator side of making this work. Like many things, it won't sell itself. On the other hand, if you are displaying it, have a screen that shows some live stuff, and you put people in that booth and ask, hey, do you want to get some mixed reality and takeaways? We think we can see some pretty good conversion rate. If, on the other hand, you just have it in the back corner and don't ever tell anybody about it, nothing's going to happen.
Cool. So then kind of a follow-up question we have, do you have much luck with people purchasing their photos? I find that to be a large ask. So you kind of addressed that with the different business models, but
yeah, I mean, we've done some testing, not extensive. So, I think it's one of those things. When we give them away for free, like we ran something at CES, we were in Intel's booth at CES, where you could go in our Richie's Plank experience and get a video of yourself, kind of, a little more customized video. But in that case, we had 450 people run through in 4 days, and every single person except one wanted their video and input their thing, but that was free. So when we've asked people to pay, you go down. I think, certainly if you take a look at attach rates from like amusement parks, they get attach rates of between 10 and 25% for roller coaster photos that people charge $15 to $30 for. What will we get? We'll see. If you are ending up in a situation where you sell 1 or 2 of these a day, it doesn't take you very long to pay back your $250 camera. It's
yeah. And again, I have to highlight the fact that the awareness that I think this is going to bring to your arcade and the customer experience, I think that justifies it in itself. The fact that we also, or that you all can also get more revenue on these is just like a little cherry on top. But I love the example that you use at the theme park or the amusement parks. Those things where you go down the roller coaster, they take your photo at the most thrilling part, whatever, and at the end they have the kiosk where you can purchase your photo. So hey, if the amusement park business is doing it, there's probably a reason that they are. So it just seems like it makes sense for us to try it as well.
Yeah, you pretty much can't go on any large ride that doesn't have one. I mean, they've all got them because it's a very well known. There's like if you Google ride photo companies, there's over 25 ride photo companies operating. That's all they do is they go and put the stuff in to make ride photos happen at amusement parks. And you can also you guys can use the photos and videos on your social channels, and there's a lot of things you guys can do with this stuff.
Yeah,
and it's got your watermark on the video and the photo. Like your logo can be on there, so a bunch of things that can get done with it.
Can we somehow get a timer to show players how much time they have left on an external monitor? Matt, I know we've looked into this a bit. It's something that we're still thinking about, but
the big issue is actually technical. It kind of has to do with how games get launched and how they're running. Injecting stuff inside of other games is just really difficult, especially with how screen mirroring works with OpenVR. So it's something we're actively looking at. We don't have any sort of ETA for it. It's something we do want to offer in the future, as we've heard a lot of requests for it. So definitely something we're keeping in mind. Don't worry.
Will there be an increase in the monthly per station pricing? No, there will not. How does this differ from Viveport Arcade? That's a loaded question. Well, for one, they don't have Mixcast integration. I don't even know if I really want to answer this question. Have you tried Viveport Arcade? I would highly recommend you try both Viveport Arcade and SpringboardVR. And you'll kind of see we have the management side. We were VR arcade operators first. And so when we went out to build Springboard, it was because we wanted to solve all the massive pain points that we experienced firsthand. Viveport, their angle was we need another way to monetize content in the out-of-home space. And they pretty much ignored all of the management stuff. Now, I don't want to say they're not doing some of those things now. But Viveport and Viveport Arcade is a fraction of what they care about in their business. This is all we do, and this is all we care about, is building the best platform for you all. We also have a lot more, well, here in a month or so, we're going to have a lot more pricing options and flexibilities for you there, but I would highly recommend you try out both and let us know what you think. Anything in the works for Springboard to be able to run tower tag? Again, kind of goes back to the free roam question I answered earlier about Arizona Sunshine. Again, it goes back to the content. There's no standard way that this is. Anyway, it's a maybe. We want to. We really do. And we're continually talking about it. You know, what it would look like and those sorts of things. But no ETA at this point. Can you put the link here? Yep, we got the video. Will you guys post the slides for later review? So this whole recording, if you've registered, you'll automatically get it, I think. If not, we'll go ahead and send. I mean, if you're on the Springboard newsletter, if you received the invite to this, we're going to send another email afterwards, kind of, yeah, just giving you a recording of this webinar. But I mean, the slides, unless, I guess, Mixcast, if you email them, maybe they could give, if that's what you meant, because there's more slides on the Mixcast than there was for Springboard, so that'll be up to Tony and his team, I guess. But
yeah, no, we can send you those slides too. So again, just send us an email and we'll happily send those on.
Awesome. Okay, if Steam is becoming unnecessary with the update, does that mean Springboard manages room setup? No, it doesn't.
So what Jordan meant by not Steam being not necessary is Steam for installing games. SteamVR is a separate thing. You still need to use SteamVR. Talks to the game. It's what does the room setup, not Springboard. So you still need SteamVR as the glue that connects the Springboard content and your headset itself.
Right. Yeah. Steam and SteamVR. That's. I know it's confusing. Steam and SteamVR are two different things. SteamVR is what allows Springboard to run as well as every other game. So, but yeah. And I saw Colin here mention in chat that they have a massive 100+ station arcade. They're running tower tag through Springboard. It's a bit clunky. We don't have a foolproof integration that's super easy, but yes, it can work. You'll have to get with Colin to talk to you about how he does that. Anyway, will you guys post the slides for later review? Answered. The charging for the content with Blueprint, is that set by each individual operator?
Yes, it is. So we can work with each individual operator to set that pricing with you.
Do you have any kind of recommendations or something for them to think about?
You know, certainly one of the things that we have tested that worked well is kind of the idea of like an all or nothing, because they can, of course, depending on how long their session is, they can grab a bunch of video or things. We certainly think the idea of like, here, you can get one photo for free, or you can get everything for $5. Seems like not a bad proposition. You know, it depends. We certainly know different regions have different rates as well. You know, so that'll depend on what your rates are at. But we can get more complicated. We can build more packages. They can select specifics, this many things or this many things. But I think we're believers that we'll see more traction with simple pricing. And if, you know, I think it's one of those things that like this, as you experiment with it, you might find, oh, you make more money by selling them for $1. Like, you know, and maybe that's fine. You know, there's the operational costs of like data get deducted, but they shouldn't be that high. And, you know, we can figure that out. If it ends up being, you know, too low, then we find we'll have to set a minimum price floor. But like, you know, they shouldn't be very high. So there should be a lot of flexibility in terms of how we work with you guys to charge for that content. And I think the goal is how do you, you know, maximize the overall value of pricing and go from there.
Awesome. What kind of camera is needed?
Intel RealSense camera. There's 2 flavors, a 435 and a 415. 415s are better if you're using Vive Pros. 435s have a wider field of view. So either of those work.
And then they'll have, if you email them, they have everything that you need, including hardware, what to purchase, how to get it set up. So
yeah, we can send you links to like the best places to buy those and cables that we like and things like that. So happy to provide those links and go from there.
Here's a fun question from Nick. Will the launcher environment be able to be made I think I understand multiplayer to have everyone together, and or will there be voice chat enabled between stations? Yes, 100% there will be voice chat. The whole kind of networked launcher environment where you can see other people, it's something that we have been talking about very seriously. We don't have an ETA, but the social element, specifically voice chat, is coming for sure pretty soon. I mean, I don't want to say this quarter, but and then the networked multiplayer where people can see each other in the launcher environment, that is also still something we're highly considering, but voice chat's probably going to come before that. When will Mixcast be made available to arcades? I'll answer that one. So we're just putting the finishing touches on the technical integration side of things. We're just in the final stages. Expect to get an update from us very soon, and we'll just email all the Springboard arcades when it's ready and all that. So once you separate from Steam, do we need to re-download all of our content from Springboard? Will the old keys expire? This is a great question. Michael, do you want to take this one, Matt?
Yeah, so the old keys will expire. You will need to re-download, but we're going to give you a pretty lengthy window of time to do this. We know that it takes some time to do. We know that you're operating a busy business. We want to make it as smooth as possible for you. The process of installing new content is going to be so easy that part won't take any time at all. It's really just going to the game and clicking install. It'll automatically install it on every station. You don't have to do anything. It'll automatically do everything else. The only thing you'll have to do is actually remove the game from Steam to free up that hard drive space, because sadly Steam doesn't give us any way of automating that, or we would love to automate it for you.
What about content that they're not necessarily licensing through us? Will they still need to?
You aren't licensing through us.
So they won't need to re-download that content is what I'm saying, right?
Nope. If you have a monthly license through another platform for a game that we don't offer, we don't touch that. You got to keep it how it is.
Can we buy the hardware from you? I'm assuming that's directed at Mixcast.
Yeah, I mean, you can. We'd really rather send you links, because otherwise we're getting into the hardware distribution business, and we have to charge you more because we have to put our time on it and shipping charges. And whereas there's lots of places that we'll send you links, then go from there. So contact us and we'll show you exactly what to do. And even our favorite mounts to mount it, and it's much easier to do that way than it is for us to actually sell you the hardware. And it's easier for you. We're a software company rather than a hardware provisioning company. And if you really want to, we will, but it's not the best way.
Awesome. Okay. Approximately how long are the mixed reality videos that customers can buy, and is there any storage issues this will create?
Storage issues, absolutely. So what we try and do is get people to capture 15-second clips, and so they take photos, or we auto record some 15-second clips at certain intervals. And if people want to click, they can actually decide they want to record a clip themselves. And again, goal is to try and make those not too long, because if you just record an hour-long session, then now we're looking at much higher bandwidth charges, and it's more difficult to figure out how to make that revenue positive. And so, but that said, if that's what you want to do, and we can figure out how that works on the data side and the charge side, that's fine. We're happy to do that too.
Great. Can you stream the MR via a separate program such as VMIX to Facebook?
Yes, you can do that. So we let you stream directly to Facebook Live and Twitch and things like that, but you can also configure something like vMix in order to capture the live desktop display. Now, I think there's a balance there that if you're just capturing your own version and then distributing it, that's not allowed in the license terms. So, don't do that. But if you want to stream it live, we can do that.
In order to boost weekday volume, we'd like to attract schools to come to our store. However, there seems to be a lack of educational content. Do you know of any educational VR content in the works? Peter, this is a great question, and we have a great answer for you. Also, in mid-March, probably should have included this in the presentation. We're going to include, there will be a lot of educational, I won't say a lot, but there will be enough relevant quality educational content for you to download and license, some for free even from Springboard. And so as far as, what does that look like to bring that to your arcade? Don't necessarily have a good answer for you to, hey, we're going to give you some strategies to contact your local schools and bring different school groups in. But we will absolutely have educational content for you to download and license. So get excited for that. Will the permanent licensing still be in place? Absolutely. I have one caveat. So the content, yes, it will. I'll just say yes, it will. No caveats. Would you plan to put in a group huddle for installation and use of Mixcast at some point? I think the Mixcast team, they really have a ton of resources for you to make sure that you get set up, but I'll let Tarny finish that.
That seems like not a bad idea. I mean, so we can coordinate with SpringboardVR and do that. That certainly, let's give it a little bit of time so that, we get some opportunity for people to say, hey, we'd like to do this, and we can kind of get that rolling, and then, find a week when you guys aren't doing one of your open huddles, and then put it together, and we can walk through, some more of the specifics and how to set it up and things like that.
Awesome.
Happy.
Yeah, I'd love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Will Blueprint work with other software to work with custom foreground background? I'll let you answer that because I don't know what the question is.
Yeah, it's the answer is yes, but it depends on a whole lot of things because that's a fair amount of complexity in that question. So again, contact us, and I have just heard that maybe we have an email issue from the email we shared with you all. Yay, email servers. So I might give you a different email to contact us with until that email gets fixed. And so in a minute, I will punch that into this chat.
Cool.
I'm waiting to get that update because, of course, yay. Anyway.
Okay. Does this MR system work with Chroma keys as well as Intel depth camera?
It does. It works absolutely with Chroma key, and that's all in the setup instructions and everything else. So it works with Chroma key. It works with depth cameras. We actually even have a no green screen background removal system that'll work without a depth camera. Is again, each of them is the lower quality, but certainly depth cameras are the easiest to get pretty good quality. And if you want to do Chroma stuff, absolutely, totally, you can do that. You can use high-end 4K cameras, great stuff. Like we're doing some stuff with a TV production company, so you can get as high as you want. I mean, and we've done some shoots with them where they've got a whole film crew on stage with lighting and all these crazy things that they do to make sure the quality just keeps moving up. It's probably not practical in an arcade on a daily basis, but yeah, the technology supports all of the various different options.
Cool. If someone happens to move the camera, does Blueprint maintain the mixed reality look if the camera is moved?
So if you move the camera after you've set it up, it will break the mixed reality unless you're using a tracked camera. So if you have a Vive tracker on your camera and have set it up to be tracked with a Vive tracker, you can do that, although that doesn't work with the depth camera. So that's more of works in a Chroma situation, but not in a depth camera situation. So the idea is you want to mount your camera somewhere where you're not moving it, and that it stays still. And that's just a reality, because what we're doing with mixed reality is we're basically what we call aligning the coordinate spaces. And so you need to tell the camera where it is so the VR system knows, and we have to align everything, because otherwise the mixed reality doesn't line up and doesn't match properly. And so if you move the camera, it breaks the information that we've told the system about where it thinks things are.
Cool. Exit Reality already has an optional mixed reality feature to their pods. Is a Mixcast feature different than Exit Realities?
It is, absolutely. It's another competitor that does something similar, and theirs is we like ours a lot better. It's more of a system, and it's finished, and it works. Exit Reality has wired together some stuff. It's all right.
Yeah.
It might be the what was that, Vive Arcade version rather than the Springboard version. It's okay. But.
Yeah. And then one of the big things that I noticed as a major difference was with Mixcast, you get your own kiosk and portal to show your customers, and they can swipe their card and handle that all by themselves. Their solution doesn't have that built in like that.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, I don't want to throw shade in their direction. They do good mixed reality, but they haven't really built an enterprise-grade system that's designed to work with LBEs and VR arcades that has all of the parts. They don't have an operator portal with account management system. They don't, there's just all of these things that, in many ways, since we started talking to Springboard over a year ago, they were like, oh yeah, well, how do we handle this? And how do we handle this? And how do we handle this? And so we've worked really closely with Springboard to build all of those additional components of the system. Because, you can do mixed reality just with the Unity titles, just with the Steam version. That's just insanely hard, but you can do it. So for us, we really focused on how do we make this work for operators in a way that makes it so they can run their business and do this on top of it without it being a gigantic amount of hurdle and a gigantic amount of effort, and instead something that's very low operator overhead on a daily basis, and they're able to deal with the media distribution in an easy way and allow customers to mostly self-serve in doing that.
Cool. Can you confirm, Matt, whether when installing games to multiple stations, will each station need to download a copy, or is there a system similar to the Steam Cache server plans that will download once over the internet and then distribute over a LAN to save bandwidth?
So this is a feature we are super, super excited about and have been really excited to work on. We're not 100% sure if it's going to make it into our initial launch or if it's going to come a few weeks later, but it's definitely coming, and we're just wanting to make sure that the launch is rock smoothly and it's depth and complication in that. So it might not be the very first release, it might be a few weeks later, but yes.
Awesome. Do we need one camera for each station booth? Tarny.
Sorry. Yes, you do.
Yep.
And if we do support the ability to have more than one camera, which is pretty fun as well. And so if you want to put two cameras in a booth, you then get two camera angles. And actually, we'll be talking more about that in a future huddle and future chat, where we talk about a few other things that we're adding to the VR marketing system beyond VR photo booth. But one camera per booth now gets you going.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and answer Omar's question. Are you thinking about different language support? So we do have multiple language support, including Spanish and French and German. So I think we have 11 or 12 total: Korean, Chinese, Hungarian, Polish, a few others.
And we can answer similarly in that we have pretty wide language support. I don't know, we're in the 10, 11 languages, 12 languages: English, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, traditional, and simplified Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese. I'm probably losing some. I think we're in Arabic, Mandarin. I said Mandarin, Russian. Anyway, a lot.
Cool. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
If it didn't, let us know. Okay. Okay, Omar, thank you for sharing. Do we know something about having multiple products to be booked instead of just one? I mean, rooms could blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yes, thanks for asking this question because I should have addressed it earlier. There's been a ton of requests about more flexibility in the booking and coupons and, gosh, I should just pull up the email almost. And there was a list of things. So we are working with a company called Checkfront. And they are, all they do is try to build the best booking system in the world. What we decided is we didn't want to try to build the best booking system in the world if there's already a company that's doing it and that we can integrate with. And so they are going to have almost everything that I think you could imagine that you could possibly need. Waiver integration, maybe the only thing that some people have requested it won't be included in this initial Checkfront integration is, oh my gosh, I just lost it. Not user profiles, memberships. But there's going to be a ton of flexibility and so many things that you all have been asking for. We're expecting to have everything finalized and nailed down on the technology side, the integration, by the end of this month. But we should be announcing that integration in the next Open Huddle on March 6th. So that's our expectation. Things could change, but we're feeling pretty optimistic at this point that all of your booking needs that you've been wanting and asking for will be solved with this partner. And we are still doing an open beta right now. And if you want to be involved, if you want to go ahead and get going on Checkfront, we can get you set up ASAP. So you can email support@springboardvr.com and we'll get you going. Just for confirmation, you can have any background color, even posters, other than blue or green. I don't know, Tony.
And this is on the poster side.
They're saying where you said you don't have to have a green screen. You said you can have.
Oh yeah, you can, because what we can actually do is we can do a depth cutoff. You can actually adjust the distance where the depth cuts off, and even if it's in that area when you're calibrating, you're sort of saying these are the things that are here. Once you've said that to the system and configured it that way, if you move new things in, like if you put a chair inside the scene after you've calibrated, well, that chair will now show up because it's something that's been added into the scene. But you can even have a camera like that points out into an open area, and we can then say, great, 3 meters out, let's just stop. And past 3 meters, you won't see anything, including people. You can actually walk up to the invisible depth wall and stick your face in, and it'll appear in the mixed reality, and then you can back up, which is kind of a fun thing to do when you configure that. But yeah, it works pretty well. Like we were doing it on the floor in an open booth at CES with people all over the place, and you just can't see past where they go. I think the first 10 or 15 videos, the depth setting wasn't set right. So the very, very, very first morning, you can see a bunch of people in the background, and then we cut them off because then we turned the feature on.
That's all.
Yeah.
Can you move the camera in the MR system if you want?
You can if you have a tracked camera and you are using a green screen. You cannot do it with the depth camera. And so that's sort of the deal. And you certainly, you can put it in a position and then set it up and it runs there. And if you decide you don't like it there, you can move it to a different position and reset it up. But to have it be a live movable camera, it needs to be tracked and it needs to be using Chroma.
Okay, cool. So we have about 5 minutes left. Gonna go ahead and start wrapping up. I would just quickly check the ask a question piece here. If you see any questions that you want to be answered, go ahead and upvote them. Of course, if you have continued questions, email support@springboardvr.com. Or Tony, if you guys have an updated email link as far as getting in contact with you guys, we could post that in the chat. Or are we still sorting out the email issue on your guys' side?
Here, we've got a real simple one that's just going to be almost identical. So we'll just do SpringboardVR Arcade at blueprintreality.com. So same first half, just at Blueprint Reality. For some reason, the mixcast.me domain isn't working for the email at this exact moment because, that's when we need it to work. GoDaddy apparently decided to not help us today. And, anyway, so yeah, you can email us at SpringboardVRarcades at blueprintreality.com and go from there.
Yep, and then we'll send that in the email after this as well.
Yeah, when I share the slides out, we can, if for some reason it's not fixed, we'll make sure both links are in there and go from there. So sorry about that. That was a bit of a surprise.
All right, I'll try to run through some last questions here before we wrap up. Any issues with increased system performance requirements for the Mixcast per station?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing additional renders, so there's additional load on the system. We find that in a lot of cases that, like, again, it's more of an issue if you're recording all the time. If you're, grabbing a photo, very little notice. If you're grabbing a 15-second video, you kind of respect that that'll happen. A lot of applications, it won't make a difference depending on how powerful your system is. If you're on the, if you're on the lower end machine or lower end card in a higher end game, you're more likely to see some additional frame rate hit there, and that's just something that comes as a reality of compute.
Blueprint, do you support European frame rates, 25, 50? Don't know what that means.
So the answer there is sort of, it can drop frames. The other answer is that we expect we'll have that into our 2.2 release. So stay tuned. That will probably just be something we resolve. We're working on it for several reasons as to why we need some variable frame rate. And so that should be something that gets dealt with very shortly.
Great. I hope you'll cover Nigeria for the regional pricing, Matt. I'm sure they are. Yeah, you already answered yes. We'll cover virtually every country in the world for our regional pricing. Does Blueprint only work with real sense, or can it work with other depth sensing cameras?
At present, we're only working with RealSense cameras. That is something that we continue to evaluate. We have chosen not to go support something like a Connect camera, which is a commercially available product. If we look into the future, we can see that there might be a new one, in which case we'd evaluate that. And we're currently evaluating the Z camera as well. And they actually can have some really good performance, although it doesn't work there's more of a lighting challenge with them at times. And so, but that said, we could see more cameras being added.
Will there be additional cost for this check for integration? Yes, I mean, they are the best booking system in the world, so they need to make some money. We are leveraging our reach with them to drive down the cost for you guys as much as we can, but there will still be a cost. But the free Springboard booking will still be available. If you want a more advanced to do everything you could imagine, then this option is available for you. How many arena scale free roam games do you support? Again, we don't really have a true integration with any free roam content at this time. There's no standard universal way that these contents are being created, so it's very difficult to build a platform around it to support it, but it is something that we are looking at doing in the future. Will this work on booths with 8 by 8 feet in size? I'm assuming with Mixcast, that's directed towards.
Yeah, we can work on that size. It's a little easier if your booth's a bit bigger, but for the most part, it just comes down to field of view. I think, and height. Like at some point in time, you might not get all of a person in frame if you have a really small booth and things like that. But 8 by 8 is fine. Again, we recommend in those cases you're probably putting a camera a little bit higher in a corner and aiming it down so you can get a person in frame. But you might not get like Shaq if he was in your arcade, but you could figure it out.
Does the setup guide give us recommendations on where to place the cameras?
It does, and we can give you that as well. Yep.
How's the localization on Mixcast? I think it's already answered. They have tons of localizations available. I think you're from like Norway or something like that, from what I remember. But
yeah, I don't think we have Swedish or Norwegian, but
it could come.
It could come.
I just want to say thank you and well done, guys. You were quiet for a while, but all this is so worth the wait. It's been, thank you, Colin. I appreciate your patience. We're still working hard despite not hearing much from us recently.
Oh, and here I do have the actual list. We're English, Korean, Japanese, traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese, French, Italian, German, Spanish, Russian, Portuguese, and Arabic. So that's the current list. If you really want another language, send us an email. We'll see about that. We have a system, right? So it's not like it's a huge amount of work.
Okay, there's only 5 more questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and get through here. Jerry's saying the email still doesn't work. We'll make sure to get you an updated email from Mixcast. Do you need an always on internet? Matthew answered that. Yes, you do. We suggest at least 5 megabytes down and 1 up. With the
and on the email, we are receiving the ones at that email address at Blueprint. Even if the one at SpringboardVR Arcades at blueprintreality.com. If it tells you that we didn't receive it, we are. So not at the mixcast.me one, but the Blueprint. A number of emails have been coming into that email. Right now, it's in our bad emails because we hadn't actually set it up, but we capture everything that gets sent to the Blueprint Reality email address. So that one is working. So we're getting them. We see people who have sent us emails. Feel free to send it at that one.
With the education content, will there be museum tours? I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but I believe we're working with some content creators that it's like you're in a museum and you can go look at art and different artifacts and stuff like that. So there's going to be a ton of educational content available mid to late March. I'm happy for you to check out at that point. We're excited for you. Is there multiple camera support for the MR?
Yes, there is multiple camera support for the MR.
Can you explain the pricing on Springboard a little bit? Can I download 100 titles? It's completely free to install for the first time. If you're just paying per minute, you only pay for the usage. That's kind of how that works, unless you opted into a flat monthly price or something like that. All right, last question. Are you going to share a presentation covering the topics covered during this open hurdle? We will be sending out a recording of this, and then I think the Mixcast team is going to send out their presentation deck as well. So we'll get you everything you need. Email us at support@springboardvr.com or the SpringboardVR Arcades at blueprintreality.com. Either way, if you email Springboard, we'll point you to the Mixcast team, and we'll get you set up with whatever questions that you guys have. So, okay, we got through all the questions. Just 3 minutes past the hour. I want to thank everyone for coming. Again, we will send out emails and anything that you might need to make sure you get in touch with the Mixcast team. I seriously implore you guys to try it out. There's no reason not to. It's going to be amazing for your arcade. And go ahead and register for the Open Huddle a month from today on March 6th, where we'll take a deeper dive into the content distribution transition. And as always, really, really appreciate you all. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.